It's Tuesday. You know what that means. Welcome, everyone, to The Distraction here on Fightful.com. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined by Joseph Hulbert. Joseph, it's a sad show today. We're going to try to perk it up at the end, but look, we lost Brodie Lee on Saturday night, and I'm sure everyone has seen the tributes pouring from wrestlers across multiple promotions, and it's been a very tough couple of days, I think, for everyone in the wrestling community.
It's surreal, man. Like, even hearing you do that intro, it feels like we shouldn't be doing this show. It's weird. I still don't know where I'm at with it. I don't know. It's been a painful few days. Like, I spoke to you before we went on the air, and it's just like, I think only the people watching this, the people that follow pro wrestling to the level that like crazed folks like us do, right, can relate to what this feels like. Because to normal people, man, it's like, it's wild how affected we've all been by this. But man, have I been affected. I know you've probably been the same, and it's like, we're not alone in this. And I wanted to do this show because not everyone has like a platform to vent or friends to talk to that feel the same way. If we can sort of make you feel like you're sitting in on this conversation to make sure you know you're not alone with how you feel right now, that would be a positive to come out of what is a pretty dark day right now. Yeah.
Guys, any super chats you donate on this show will go to the family of Brodie Lee. So if you donate a super chat, it'll get your question, comment, statement read on air. You know, send your Brodie Lee memories. Romtel, send $50. Ron, if you have a message, let me know. I'll post that. And Evan Wright says, Joe, we're going to have a cry tomorrow night. I think we're going to have a cry tonight. I don't know.
I'm struggling already, man. Tomorrow night is going to be...
yeah.
It's such a... I feel strange saying this, Jeremy, but again, I think people watching it will understand. I'm excited for tomorrow night in the most sort of dreading way possible to be excited for something. Because I know that when it ends, I'll feel better. But that 2 hours is going to be a roller coaster of just sheer emotion. But it's necessary. And one of the few things that is truly great about pro wrestling, I say few things because, man, it's tough sometimes, is when these things happen, the wrestling is so dumb that there's a show every damn week, right? And Jeremy, you know that better than anyone. You cover these things, right? And it allows us to all come together in these moments, be like, they're feeling the same stuff 10 times more. So it will be something. Yeah, tomorrow will be something.
Andrew Thompson is going to pop on here in literally 2 seconds. Let me bring on Andrew. Andrew is his camera off. He doesn't feel like showing his face. Andrew, how are you, buddy?
I apologize not showing my face on camera, fellas. I'm still in sleep mode. Been chilling today. Besides working, but I appreciate you guys having me on. The feature slayer himself, the one and only Joe Hulbert, the handheld microphone legend, and then of course the good man Jeremy Lambert, the hashtag point guard, my good man from North Carolina. Man, right there. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing, man? I'm glad to be here.
Andrew's sleep mode is better than like 99% of people's like productive mode. So I don't know what your sleep mode is, buddy. Appreciate you joining us, Andrew. Post Wrestling, Andrew Thompson. Like, go follow the man. You know where to find him. Evan Wright says, then basically letting his son book the show ruled. Yeah. So I guess we got Brodie Jr.'s favorite tag team tomorrow, Orange Cassidy, Cody, and 10 of the Dark Order, which... that's a team. I love this show. I hate the circumstances that it's on, but I'm glad they're doing a full-on tribute show. I don't think there was really ever any doubt that they were going to do a full-on tribute show, but I fully expect them to do justice to the life and career of Brodie Lee, and I fully expect Tony Khan to like really take care of that family moving forward.
Yeah. I hope so. Sorry, Andrew. I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead, Joe. I was going to follow up after you.
I just, I'm with you. I also expected that. But, like, reading the tweets, you talk about stuff that's surreal. Seeing the graphics of, like, the Brodie Lee celebration show is, like, a bizarre feeling. It is, and again, it sounds so strange, so I'm excited for the show, but I just feel like I need it. It's like a hurdle I got to get over here to just move on almost. And it's like, as fans, we're lucky because we can sort of move on. There are people close to him that obviously it's a lot more of a drawn out process than that. But for us, it's like I think everyone's waiting for that show to be like, okay, breathe in and breathe out almost. But it's just tough.
Yeah, I definitely think this show is gonna be definitely gonna be an emotional one. I think this publicly knowing that they're doing this show specifically for Brodie's family, it's gonna be a tough watch, man. Like even the seeing Xavier Woods on Raw Talk, like seeing him get emotional when he was talking about Brodie, you could just tell like he was genuinely like just a good dude. And I know that's like it's crazy because like, you know, as like we go on in life and you hear certain stories like these about people, and so sometimes like behind the scenes, like you may not even know these things, like but then and unfortunately it had to take for this to occur. But like I'm so glad to know that, you know, he was just an overall good dude, and so many people appreciated him and got to experience this man, and that he just like seemingly did right by everybody in some way. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, but like like just seeing all these tributes, man, like, and still seeing the amount of tributes that are coming out, like it's not even done yet. And then I can only imagine what they got lined up for Dynamite as far as like tribute videos and stuff, man. It's really been amazing to see.
Joseph and I were talking off the air of like when someone passes, usually there's like a tweet, maybe two of memories and stuff. And then maybe there's the graphic on the show, and then it just seems like everyone moves on. And here we are Tuesday, and like Big E is still telling like stories of things. Natalya is telling stories. Like everyone is still telling stories about this man and how they impacted his life. Joseph or Andrew, you mentioned Xavier Woods on Raw. Oh, go ahead, Joseph.
No, go. Okay. That moment was that was hard to watch. So go to Andrew on that. Yeah.
Andrew mentioned Xavier Woods, and I just have, this is my quick story on Brodie Lee and like just what I feel like the kind of person he is and was. New Legacy Inc. did a charity stream earlier this year, and Woods was on that, and Evil Uno was on that, and they were playing Uno on the stream. Brodie Lee pops on this stream, and he's not playing. He can see Xavier Woods stream though. He sees Xavier's cards, but the stream is showing the perspective of the New Legacy guys. But Brodie's there, and the perverse joy this man got out of ruining Xavier Woods' game and just saying like, oh yeah, he's got a red 7. Don't play a red, don't play a 7. And Woods, who I think has like top 5 most infectious laughs I've ever heard. Like part anger of like his game being blown up by the only person who can see his screen, and part just like cackling at this man playing this rib on him and giving away his game. If you have time, it's like a 13-hour stream, but they put highlights up on their YouTube page. Watch that. And the way Brodie and Woods are interacting with each other, you can tell there was such a genuine friendship between them. And Brodie was on Up, Up, Down, Down multiple times with his son a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
There was such a genuine friendship between those two. And like the way Woods handled the tributes last night with the armband, with the discus clothesline, and the pose before, and then talking about him on Raw Talk, I think Xavier Woods is like one of the best people in wrestling. And that was great to see last night. But go check out that moment, because it's such a genuine moment just between two friends just bullshitting with each other on a charity stream.
Infectious is such a great word for this conversation in general, because you mentioned Up, Up, Down, Down, and like, you know, Jeremy, I don't watch a lot of their stuff. In one appearance, Brodie convinced me I must check out all of his stuff on that channel. Because there's an energy to him. Some guys, they just, when you see them, you go, everyone loves that guy. You can tell. And it's not because they're being like this sort of pure citizen. He's taking the mick out of people, he's poking fun, and everyone just loves it because he's having fun. And like, there's so much to be taken from that. Like, pro wrestling is, you know, it's a very strange thing we cover, right, guys? Like, it's a weird thing sometimes where the most skillful people aren't the most sort of like representative people. It's a really odd thing we cover. But when you see it boiled down to this, and it's a man being paid homage to, it's like, man, who cares about what he was pushed to do? The guys that work with him didn't care. You know, they view him as the ultimate and the utmost in this industry. So there's a lot to be learned from that, definitely. Like the way you treat people, it's noticed, and that's a cool thing in a horrific story. That's like a neat sort of positive to take, I think.
Man, definitely. Like it really just shows you, like, if you just you just be yourself, man, and just be cool to people, I guess, and just do your own thing, and just bring out positive energy, man. Like that'll have an influence on somebody, and you probably won't even know it. Like I think one of my favorite stories that come out recently about Brodie is that he had this quote unquote beef with the women's division in WWE because he said they would like copy everything he would do. Like I think Big E said that he had some quote unquote issue with Natalya because she took his discus lariat, and then what was it? He took Dana Brooks poses, and then Sonya Deville when she came out the night, I think it was the week prior to the SummerSlam, and then she was wearing the red suit. And Brodie must have sent Biggie a picture and said, "Look at you, they stealing my stuff again." like just like little stuff like that, man. Like that's hilarious, and you could just tell, like just by seeing, like it was so many people from so many different parts of wrestling. Like it wasn't just wrestlers; it was people that work backstage, promotion owners. Like I think I seen John Thorne, who runs AIW, was speaking so highly of Brodie, and like I can only imagine. How many people that haven't been able to share their stories yet or haven't gone out and share their stories. Like I'm one person that I'm really curious to hear from is Pac, like because I know he worked with Brodie earlier. I'm interested to hear if he has any fond memories or stories to share. But man, it's so many stories, man. It's like genuinely again like just crazy and so good to see that so many people appreciated this dude and he was just just a good person.
What's interesting too is, I mean, and as fans, because we are fans here, right? Like guys like yourself have a terrible. Sometimes you have to report stuff that is not fun to report, and I will always emphasize that. But we are root fans. That's why we cover this stuff. So it's a pleasure for us to get insight into these things. But I do want to stress that while this is nowhere near as important as the wonderful person he was, Brodie Lee was a pleasure to watch. Right? Like this is not. I actually want to get into at some point on here, like. The way we covered his AEW run, because I mean it's very interesting as like a fan of his. But he was just so good. And like it's not one of those things in retrospect, but you go, everyone knew he was great, right? But any memories, Andrew, Jeremy, who wants to go, like just having fun watching that dude wrestle because he was great.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh yeah, like so specifically speaking about the AEW run, I did want to get you guys' thoughts on this. I think we probably talked about it some point when it happened when he debuted in AEW, but that feels like years ago and at this point with 2020, man. But like I remember when I first saw him pop up when he revealed himself as the Exalted One, like even though there were no fans in the building, it was still like one of them like can I curse on here? I don't want to get me okay. I was like it was like one of them like oh shit type of moments. Like it was still really big and it felt really big, although there were not people there in attendance to actually see it. And I was wondering if you guys kind of felt the same way, because I was like when I saw it I was like, oh yeah, it's legit now. The big guy's here. He's officially here. And then like just the fact that he really elevated the Dark Order and made them like a legit faction after like having kind of a rough start. I was just kind of wondering you guys thought about his overall debut and how he elevated Dark Order.
I think one of the most disappointing things is that he didn't get that moment in New Jersey. To debut, because that was what second week of the pandemic.
That was his hometown too, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be this big debut, and it still was a big debut, but like he was going to get a monster pop for that, and they would have gone back to Jersey pretty quickly after things opened up again, and you would have hoped that he would be on that show, would get the pop then, and like he's not going to get that, and I think that really sucks because his AEW run. I think it's the best run of his career. There was the SmackDown run that was tremendous, but his overall work in AEW, it started rough. We talked about it on the show, like the Vince comparisons and stuff. I wasn't in on that. They really turned it around probably about like the Moxley match. Everything kind of turned around from that point on. And then like the Cody squash was just tremendous television. Everything he did on BTE too. Like BTE became the Dark Order show because of all of those segments. Like they took that show over because Brodie was leading those segments and John Silver was standing out. Like his AEW run, again, I think is the best run of his career.
It's so interesting you say that, and I agree with you. But it pains me somewhat how I covered that here on here. I, as a fan of his that always wanted him to be a single star, I dreaded the Dark Order thing. Like, and I've been, and people that watch this show know that I had like initially had problems with it, right? And I didn't like this and like that. But in hindsight, I was so wrong because I wanted him to just be Luke Harper, effectively. The wild man, right? Comes in, does the lariat, goes crazy. That was fun to me. It was simplistic wrestling, and I loved it. And I would always celebrate that character because I love watching it. But in hindsight now, how great it was that he got to reinvent himself and show how much range everyone always said he had that range, right? He was much smarter than they kind of allowed him to be presented. And initially I was like, some guys are better to be reined in. I was wrong about Brodie. And I think we said that on the air. Like, as soon as he got rolling with the BTE stuff, it was like, okay, now he's figured it out. And the greatest compliment you could give him as a performer is when he was that wild man with the dirty shirt and all that great stuff. He fit everything he did fit that. But then when he became the sinister cult leader, it still fit. He changed stuff correctly. I mean, there was a match someone pointed out on Twitter, and I remember us talking about on the show, the 12-man tag they did, which are never good, by the way, other than this particular one, because it was structured all around. It was purely structured around Brodie's ability to lead the Dark Order. And they had that wonderful finish where he lured Hangman into his trap almost. Go watch that match and appreciate the wrestling genius of him as a guy that could work a character and adjust and adapt. And it was just, that was a validating run, and it fulfilled the potential people said he had. Of course, we wish it was much longer, but I'll say this much. I'm probably not going to rewatch it anytime soon because it will hurt. His last match is probably his best match in my view, or his best performance at least. He's masterful in the dog collar match. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's his best run too. It was amazing stuff.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like one thing that I really liked about Brodie's run in AEW, and this is like really a small thing amongst like all the great things that he did, of course, on BTE and on screen. Like I really like the way that AEW kind of shot his entrance. Especially specifically in his TNT championship matches, like you can go see the first one with Cody and the one with Dustin Rhodes, and I think they did it in the one with Orange Cassidy too, and the last one he did, the last match he had with Cody. Like they always got the side of the tunnel, and then they would like do like the wraparound shot and would like zoom into the tunnel, right? But Brodie, this thing that made it so cool. Brodie was like legitimately like 6'4", 6'5". He was a big dude, right? So when they zoomed in, all you see is this like monster of a human being like coming out of the tunnel, dead set, walking straight to it was like the coolest shit I've ever seen. But I was like, I used to love like little production details like that in professional wrestling, and like he just had like the complete look that like made the overall thing happen. And I always noticed that, but like it's sad that like it took me like for him to unfortunately have to leave this earth to like fully, I guess, recognize like little details and hints like that. Like I wish I could have, had more people recognize that or something along those lines. But like, man, I just love like small details like that in professional wrestling. And then Brodie just had the like complete look that made it all click 100%.
This sounds so silly, but when you were talking about the stuff you notice, it's like I was thinking about. I remember when he wrestled Dustin on Dynamite, and there being a whole dialogue about like should Brodie just run through Dustin the way he did Cody. And this may sound so silly, but I'm so glad, like looking back now, that they had the match they had, because I love that match. I adore that match, and I'm just glad we had that match. Because again, none of this means anything in the grand scheme of things, I'm aware. But to us, he was just someone we watched. So the more great stuff that he packed into that little run, the better. Like, because we didn't appreciate it, right? Like we didn't realize how that's now history forever, that run. Like that's a special piece of AEW Dynamite history. Now look, in 20 years, we don't know where that show will be. We have no clue. Ideally, that will be looked at as one of the key sort of introduction pieces of a show that is very successful. I hope so. But if not, it was a great time to watch the wrestling fan. That's that much I know.
I'm going to catch up on some super chats. Reminder, guys, all super chats, all money made from super chats are going to the family of Brodie Lee. J.K. Shaw says, stay well, boys. Hoping the main event tomorrow is Brodie Jr. pinning Kenny. When they taped that, it's kind of sad to think now that like that was for Jon Huber and not so much for Brodie Jr. because I would assume they taped it, they recorded it, they showed it to him, and like that's the purpose for it more than giving his son the moment, which is special but also sad in my mind. Bud Ryan says, appreciate you guys doing the show tonight. Been feeling awful today. Just hearing your voices have brought immense comfort right now. Thanks for everything. Hope you feel better, Bud. Appreciate you joining us, man. Where are we at here? So many. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Really, really appreciated. JJ says, hello, Joe and Jeremy. A super chat for Mr. Brodie Lee. He was one of the most talented big guys I ever saw. I'm glad that I have the memories. Let's all help each other smile and grin. We're going to try. We're going to try, JJ. Evan Wright says, Chikara boys, New York, Rochester boys, Dark Order, all over the card. Hope WWE gives Big E some time on Talking Smack Friday to vent and talk. He's wrestling Corbin. I would assume Big E will have some type of tribute planned for Brodie. And then, yeah, if he gets time on Talking Smack, I imagine he will say something. Joseph?
It's the Big E coming up reminded me of like, we so often, especially on this show, I'm sure it infuriates our audience. We whine so much about the bad of social media, and boy, there is a lot of it, right? No doubt. I'm not here to say this week's proved otherwise, but it is awesome that I don't have to worry about whether or not Big E is going to get the time I want him to get, because his timeline has provided us with so much like release at this time. It's cool that you can just, you don't have to rely on a promotion doing something. And I'm not saying they didn't do enough. I'm not getting into that. What I'm saying is the wrestlers have their own platform to do this stuff. That's cool, right? In its own way. And it's also cool that I can go on WWE Network or wherever and go to that section and watch Brodie's stuff. Like, there's a lot of things that I take for granted with the way things are now. And I'm so busy whining about one guy being a dick to me or something. We all do it, right? But I'm thankful for that this week, man. I've needed it. Like, I've needed those tweets. I've needed those matches. It's been a lot of fun in that sense. In the most painful sense, it's been fun.
Man, I think just the possibility of, Big E being, just giving a mic to let his feelings flow about, Jon Huber / Brodie Lee, Luke Harper's passing. I think that's going to be that's going to be quite something, man. Like I think it will be cool. Like, of course, you still got Talking Smack. I think I'll, of course, to tune in to Talking Smack, but I think it would be really cool if they let him, get the post match win promo after his match. He's facing Corbin, right, on SmackDown.
Yeah,
yeah. I think it'd be really cool for him to like grab the mic post match and just let him say a few words. But Big E has like his whole thread. Him and Chris Harrington's threads are like great, man. Like just seeing like especially like seeing Chris Harrington like his old photos of Brodie like no beard, like it's great. Like seeing this dude with no beard is mind boggling to me. Like it's crazy to see, man. Like it's been like really like telling, like again, like and it's hard not to repeat it, but like again, like the dude is like you just seeing so many people just show this dude so much love, man. And I hope that is being relayed to his family. I hope they're able to see all these tributes and all these people just knowing how much of a good person this dude was, man. And I'm pretty sure his significant other knows. I've seen the post that she made, and she called him her best friend, and I think that's like that's a really another heartbreaking thing, is on top of losing somebody that you created this and established this family with, is to lose somebody that you called your best friend for so long. That's sad, very sad to read and crazy to read, man. But yeah, like it's sometimes like I think about it, bro, and you just had a loss for words, legitimately. And like I think wrestling has endured a great deal of losses in 2020. Like you think about like Hana Kimura and Shad Gaspard, and it's so many people, man, that passed away this year. Not only professional wrestling, but just in the regular world in general, I guess is the way to put it. But man, like you don't really know what else to say, man.
No, I did want to say, sorry, Jeremy, I'll let you get super channel, but for anyone watching this that's struggling with what we're doing, I apologise for the tone of this. We intend to make this show slightly more positive in the end. We want to talk about 2020. I'm here with two of the best news guys in wrestling, okay? Don't remind me of the stuff that happened. It'll be fun. I promise it'll be fun. But we just need to do this. Jeremy gets that super chat, and I have like a couple more things to say, Brodie. Go ahead.
Oh, no, because Andrew talked about the family, and Drew Nicholas says, thank you for doing this. The family deserves every penny. Tomorrow night will be amazing. One of the saddest shows I'll have ever watched. As a newer wrestling fan, Brodie was a saint. I'm so heartbroken for his family. And that's what I always come back to is, look, I don't have kids or anything, but the man's leaving behind 2 kids and a wife who clearly loved it. I read those text messages that she posted today and was just gutted after seeing those text messages, because you could tell the love between those two and the happiness, and it just heartbreaking stuff, and leaving behind 2 kids as well. I had a tough time with this on Sunday because it reminded me of Larry Zonka's passing, and I was close with him and his family, and he left behind a wife and 2 daughters, and it's so tough to see what they're going through, and I can't imagine what his kids are going through and his wife. And again, I hope the tribute show, it seems like it's going to go well for them. I assume Tony Khan and AEW are going to take very good care of them. It doesn't replace losing their father. Evan Wright says, John Silver saying he'll wear the gear that Brodie got him. Preston Vance, I think, will wear the coat Brodie got tailored for him. Bucks Colt is surreal. Yeah, man, there's going to be I imagine a lot of different tributes on the show tomorrow, just beyond the matches. J.K. Shaw says, in a world full of a lot of crap, it is comforting to know there are genuinely amazing and nice people like Brodie out there, gone far too soon. He was 41, enjoying the best run of his career. Go ahead, Joseph.
I did want to, we all kind of had an admiration for him as a performer, and rightly so. And he has a lot of great moments as a singles wrestler before WWE, a few in WWE where he was at, the Orton match is one I absolutely love. And obviously the AEW stuff we mentioned. But I do think it's worth, as fans, talking about the Rowan little tag run that they had, because I don't think they ever recaptured the magic when it was, the Bludgeon Brothers. I don't think they ever clicked the way they clicked when they were with Bray. But I have to say, I think as a team, that initial run to me is like the ultimate what if, in a different setting, in a different time. That team was so awesome. And if there's one match I'll always go back to with Brodie, it's the ring match with the Usos, the 2 out of 3 falls. If you're watching this and you haven't seen that match, please check that out, because it is a great example of how unique Brodie was. Because he was a big man and a monster who could do like indie sequences with Jimmy or Jay. So they're doing full finishes 20 minutes into a match. And it's just like, he was incredible. The match of all I just mentioned, he's a monster and a big guy who's working as like a lovable baby face, straight up 50-50 with Orton, and it's like, it works. It's great. It's tremendous. So I wanted to mention the Rowan tag, but before we do move on, and it's going to be difficult to transition to anything else, but I did want to pass about you guys. Any other just wrestling memories, personal, anything you want to share? Here's the time.
Andrew?
I was about to say, you kick it off, Jeremy.
I think the SmackDown run for sure with the Wyatt family and Orton, that entire run was great because there was some levels and some depth to that of, okay, he never trusted Orton in that group, but Bray was accepting and everything. He was always kind of side-eyeing, like, what are we doing? And they did the Freebird rule with the tag team titles as well, which I thought was fantastic. I will always look back at that run and be like, yeah, that's probably his best WWE run. He had the ladder match against Ziggler, and then there was some very good, Wyatt family 6-man tag. Like any Wyatt family 6-man tag was just fantastic stuff. So Any of those matches were great as well. I'll always look back as the run with Orton, and I'll really think of like kind of like a what if they had gone more with him, because you listen to the Talk is Jericho podcast, and we talked about that podcast when it came out of how like it was cathartic listening to him talk about the run and everything. It wasn't bitter or anything. It was just more like a therapy session for him. Like the what if of that run, had they maybe not put the title on him, but like really elevated him to the main event scene, what could have happened there? Yeah.
And like just things that come to mind immediately for me is like, I remember what was that, September 2019, I think it was, when he returned at the Clash of Champions show, when he helped Rowan beat Roman Reigns. And like I just remember like the crowd, they were like very receptive to seeing him, but like seeing the reaction on social media, everybody was going crazy on social media. Like it may not have. I remember I went back and watched that yesterday. Like the crowd was like they were amped, but it wasn't like big. But like on social media, it was like everybody was going crazy. They was like, Luke Harper's back. He's the man. Yada yada yada. And I think that was like one of the real cool moments. And of course, like Jeremy mentioned, the Wyatt family Shield story. Like Eric Rowan did an interview before Brodie's passing, and he talked about how they often talked about how they just like there was never anything about, they never had any issue about being a part of the Wyatt family. That was never their issue. It was just him and Brodie often talked about how they wish they just got to explain why they were with Bray. Like they just wish that they had the opportunity to say, what, this is why we're with this dude. This is why we're all so tight. This is why, you know, this is happening. And they just wish they got to explain it from their own mouths. You know what I'm saying? That's something that they just really wish they got to do. They never had an issue with being in the Wyatt family. It was just, they just wanted to have the opportunity to get a mic and say, this is why we're with him. And this is why we back him. And this is why we support him. And, you know, you immediately think about that WWE run. Of course, you can think about the matches with Ziggler. I think a lot of people harken back to was that in the spring 2017 when he was in that WWE title picture. And, you know, a lot of people think that he should have been in that world title match. I'm one of those people that think he should have been in there. Joe, I was going to ask you to, you know, speak on that real quick. You know, you're saying that, like, just, I mean, of course, you know, hindsight being 2020. Like, do you think, like, because I mean, I know you remember, Jeremy, you as well. The crowd was hot for it. They wanted it. They wanted him in the match. And he was over as hell, and they wanted him in there. And you know, we didn't get it, but I think that's one of those things where we could look back like, man, like, you know, if they would have just went with it, like who knows what could have happened.
I don't think it's a hindsight thing in that case, right? Like, I think most of us knew that was just the right way to go. And it's like, it's difficult with this stuff because you don't want it to be, you don't want to celebrate a career by wondering what could have been. And, and that's saying I've been struggling the last few days because I do. Look, I'll be honest with you, I do. I wanted him to have a run in Japan after he left OB, and it never happened because of all of these terrible factors that have prevented it. In an ideal world, he got out of his contract when he wanted to, right? And I don't think that's unfair to say that. That was what he wanted. I would have liked that too. But, like, it's, at this point, there's no reason to kind of dwell on it. But as far as that WrestleMania, I think anyone that questions whether he should have been, it should just watch the eventual match they got to. Like, the story was actually, he was the heart of the story because, as Jeremy pointed out earlier, he was the guy who was that, and he was like the moral compass almost, because it was effectively two heels. But again, it's like, it frustrates me, I'll be honest, but like, I don't want it to kind of overtake my point. But I'm with you. I think we're all with you. He should have been in that match, yeah.
And Jeremy pointed it out, like you just said, Jeremy pointed out that he was like he was hip to Randy Orton the whole time. He was like, no, stay away from him. Don't do it. And like, I felt like that added so much to the story to have this dude who really didn't say much, but he said everything with his body language and his eye movements and like side-eyeing Orton all the time. And like, even in those backstage promos with the Wyatts, when they would all be in the dark room, he would just be mugging Randy Orton the whole time while Bray was talking to the camera. And I'm like, dude, like, just little subtle things like that. Like, and he didn't even talk. He didn't talk. And and like, he made so much of that story by not saying a word. And then like, I remember even when Jeremy just brought that up, he kind of brought another memory to my head. I think when they won the tag titles, you remember when like so he was already side-eyeing Randy Orton, but Orton went up to him and put the title on his shoulder. It was like, we cool, big man. And Harper let it slide. He let it go. And I think he rose the title or something like that. And I was like, but this story is grade A right here. And I was like, man, like I just wish, and I know I don't want to make this a whole thing like what if, but like I just wish, man, that he could have at least been in that WWE title match, like and had that moment, because I think it would have just completed that whole story.
It's a special run for him, but it's a special time, I think. For a lot of us, that's a special time of modern WWE, like where I think people have fond memories of that time on SmackDown, where they left, the brand split came back, and it's easy to forget this now, but I promise people, if they go back and look at it, that roster was a lot smaller than the one these brands have now. Like, they've signed a lot of guys, and they've not lost many of them along the way. Like, not been as many releases as we're used to in past eras. But that SmackDown roster, I remember vividly people looking at it and being like, what are they possibly going to do with this crew? And it, to me, was the best show they've done in years. And this isn't me like, celebrating, saying, looking back. I loved it then. It gave me real escapism, that show. And he was a big part of that. The thing with Brodie is, and I think the thing I always remember most when I think about him as a performer, his face and the way he could emote without saying a word, as you said, Andrew, is like, it's maybe the most striking thing about him. not only was he a big man that had incredible sort of physical range and could do incredible stuff, could do dives, could do indie sequences, as we said earlier. But more than that, man, with just one look, he could say so much. His eyes just told a beautiful story, always. Like, that's what I always remember most about him. Like, his eyes on a false finish, a guy kicking out and Brodie looking down the camera was just like an incredible kind of special thing about him, I think.
Did you guys ever see him perform live?
I was there for the Bludgeon Brothers title win. So I think that's it. It was like, the Mania. Yeah, the one where they like squashed New Day and Usos. But I mean, that's obviously a cool moment for his career. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've seen like a real standout match where you got a chance to have a great match on a house show. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but no, that's the only one I've seen, I believe.
Andrew?
I think the only time I got to see him wrestle was at a house show in DC. I want to say it was summer 2019. I think I'm correct on that. Mm-hmm. Summer 2019. I got to see him in I can't remember who he wrestled, but I know he was on that show. It was just cool to see, man. Of course, he was one of the many talented in-ring performers on that show, man. It was I'm like hindsight, of course, hindsight being 2020. I'm glad I got to at least see him live in some form, opposed to catching him on TV.
Yeah, I do remember. Sorry, Jeremy. I do remember. And this is like a weird, quirky memory, but it kind of sums up. Like, I didn't realize how much I enjoyed him until suddenly I was like, oh man, like it's done now. Like, it hurt a lot, but it speaks to how much I enjoyed watching him that I vividly remember finding out that he works Cesaro on a main event table and being like, well, that's it. Gonna have to watch main event this week. Like, and I don't think I'm alone in that. And in many ways, when you're on that WWE big wheel, right? That's the best compliment of all, right? Like being like, look, man, aside from all of this bullshit, I want to watch this guy wrestle Cesaro. Okay, let me do that. And it was like a cool 10-minute match or whatever. So there's a little memory, I guess. I don't know.
I was at Mania 30, but he didn't wrestle on that one. He just accompanied Bray. You mentioned Cesaro. It was a house show here in North Carolina, and it was New Day against Kid and Cesaro against Harper and Rowan, and it was an elimination tag team match, and it was definitely the best match of the night.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, like it was really good. There's just 6 great guys just going out there and just kind of doing what they want in the ring, and it was fantastic. And we all thought, like, we all bid on like a title change too. Like it was a fantastic match. Yeah, I think that's the only time I've seen him live, was just a house show. But like that's probably the best time to see these guys live, because they just do what they want.
That's why people are probably watching this thinking, why didn't I saw him at Mania winning the title. I guess that seems like the biggest thing. But to me as a fan, it's like, I was trying to think if I saw him really work as a house show. That's the best stuff to see, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys, you go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just going to go do super chats. So go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, yeah. No, go ahead. Hit the super chat.
Carlos Easy says he reinvented himself and helped an entire faction get over. Admirable to hear Stu and Uno talk about how Brodie went out of his way to help the group. That group was gone until he got there. Like there was not much to that group, and when he arrived, it definitely it picked up in a big way. So many super chats, guys. We really appreciate this. Again, all the super chat money is going to the family of Brodie Lee. Luis Hernandez says, really enjoyed his work in AEW and BTE. Dynamite is going to be a really show. I think it will be. It's going to be an emotional show, but I think the guys are going to go out there and really do their best to pay tribute to Brodie the way they can. Impor says, can't tell you how many times I've watched that BTE segment with Brodie telling Sue to throw the papers at Silver. He will be missed. Fall for Sue. RIP Jon Huber. That BTE on Monday with the supercut of like all the Brodie segments and the outtakes and Silver and Reynolds talking about him, that got me. That was tough. Like that was really tough. He was so good on BT. Again, I think the Dark Order stuff just overtook all of the Elite stuff, just with their interactions and the way they did things. And Brodie, like, that is who, like, that Exalted One character should have been, not the let me be a Vince McMahon parallel type person, because that character on BTE was just tremendous. Ashley Rogers sends a super chat. JJ says Wyatt family versus the Shield at Elimination Chamber is one of my favorite matches. Just awesome. For me, he should have been put in the Bray and Orton Mania match. Yeah, we talked about that. It would have been much better. Imagine Brodie versus Ishii rematch with Shingo. I feel like New Japan was the plan for him. Like that was kind of openly discussed, right? He was going to have a New Japan run.
Yeah. This there's no way I can say this without making it sound sad, so I'm sorry guys, but like he does leave behind many dream matches that will continue to sort of like keep my imagination going. And I'm not saying that's good, I'm just saying like it's true. It's such a shame we didn't get that run. Because even with the way things ended up here, in any other time, he still would have made an appearance or two. It was this particular time he debuted on that first show after everything shut down. So yeah, that sucks. That 100% sucks.
And Jeremy, something you pointed out when you were like how much he changed just the overall perception of the Dark Order. I was going to ask you to further speak on that, because that it's just crazy like how he literally came in and like made this group legit. And before that, they were they were kind of floundering. Like I think it was like kind of up and down, like kind of middle, but never at that next level. And I feel like when he came in, he immediately and like Joe mentioned, for the beginning of his AEW run, it was like just a tad bit rough because the constant comparisons to the Vince McMahon persona and that type of stuff. But I feel like he really made it his own and but became Brodie Lee once again. And then like I was going to ask you to further elaborate on that, Jeremy, because I think that was a solid point right there.
I mean, when Uno and Grayson debuted, they got the who are these guys?
I remember that.
And I liked them on the indie scene. Like they were a good tag team. They tried to put them over in a big way on that infamous December episode with the Phantom Punches and everything. And then they dropped that completely. And then, I liked when they turned into the cult stuff. And then they talked about, okay, well, who's going to be the leader? They thought it was going to be Matt Hardy. It turned out to be Brodie. Again, I was not a fan of the Vince McMahon type stuff at first. I was like, I'm not buying this. I'm just not. The Moxley feud is when it started to really click with everything, because that's when it showed all right, this is what this guy's motivations are. This is how he's trying to lead these guys, lead by example type things. This works. And then from there on, it was just straightforward, and it became, I thought, some of the best stuff, certainly on BTE, but some really good stuff on Dynamite as well.
Anytime you just get out of his way and let him do what he does, it's going to be magic, right? Whether you view a bunch of Brodie matches as classics or not, I think it's very hard to find Brodie matches that aren't good or fun in some way. And that's the thing. As much as we were concerned about it and we didn't love the opening segments, it's as soon as he got to wrestle Jon Moxley, the dude's not going to miss in that spot. He'll do whatever it takes to make that hit. So I don't want to, transition here too soon, because I don't want to leave anything on the table. So either of you guys, anything left to say about Brodie, who I know we've all been the last few days have sucked. Anything left to say before we try our best to move on or whatever?
So, one of the things that one of my favorite videos that I've seen recently, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it too. The one with him and his son were doing the interview at the local Rochester outlet, and they were talking about his the mini pets that he had in his house and the chickens and stuff like that. And his son just took the microphone and was like, 2 dogs and 5 cats. And the funniest thing was, when his son tried to go back in for the talk more in the mic, Brodie kind of grabbed him back and was like, all right now. I let you take over this interview. We gonna chill out now. I think that was one of those fatherly moments right there. But I genuinely feel bad for of course for his youngest man, Brodie Jr. That was one of the things that really immediately choked me up. Just knowing that this young dude who had his pops around him for so long, and for these however many period of time, decade or so, or 8 years old or 9 years old, just to constantly have this figure around that always have your back, always be there for you, always talking to you, and et cetera, to just have that too, just now that this man is gone. You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine how that's going to affect him going forward. But I'm pretty sure he'll have a very solid support system going forward to kind of rally him up behind that. It's been some things that have like really choked me up this year. Like I don't want to get too like dive too off topic if you guys don't mind, but like I like one of the things that immediately come to mind is the George Floyd situation that really kind of choked me up and brought me to a different place as far as like, you know, making me feel like kind of emotional, I guess, and like kind of like just knowing that, you know, Brodie Jr., like just seeing how that relationship he had with his dad, and you could see that through interviews and such. Like it's very sad to know that, you know, that quote unquote superhero, that dude who's always been there for him, that's his pops, man. So he's not gonna be able to get that anymore, and that's, you know, that's sad. And I don't know, I hope you don't mind me plugging it, Jeremy, but I had mentioned it in I wrote a short little tribute about Brodie, and I had wrote that like I'm very close to my pop, so like I can only imagine, you know, not having that figure around, you know what I'm saying? I genuinely hope that he's able to just navigate life and just keep his pop's memory with him throughout whatever may come to him in the future, and you know, I'm really hoping that he'll be able to just, you know, keep progressing and just keep growing, and, you know, do everything within his pop's name, and, you know, keeping his pops with him with everything he does.
I think we're all super hopeful, and I think we all expect AEW to do right by that family, as Jeremy said earlier, and a part of that is supporting Brodie Jr. So it seems like they've done a good job thus far, right? It seems that way. So we can only be hopeful it'll stay that way. I don't know.
Again, losing the father is, my dad is fortunately still here, but I can only imagine going through that. And you could tell, like Andrew, you mentioned that interview, and I talked about it earlier. Like Brodie Jr. was on Up, Up, Down, Down a couple of times, and you can just see like the relationship they had and just how much fun they would have with each other and everything. So yeah, I saw Jim Ross posted the picture that Brodie Jr. was at the Jaguars game with them. I would imagine, I mean, this card is being put together for matches that Brodie Jr. likes. I would imagine they're going to be well taken care of. It's not going to replace a father, but it is good knowing that I don't think this kid is going to be like left alone.
Right.
I didn't really watch Monday Night Raw extensively this week because I knew this show would be what this show is going to be. But I was left almost, I don't want to say puzzled, but like it seemed like a common thing. We all seemed helped by the fact, like the way the guys paid tribute to Brodie, right, on the show. Like I'm not talking about what anyone did or didn't do. I'm saying the guys, Drew, Xavier, there was others, and it's like it. For all of the, we all cover this stuff, me a lot less than you two, but we get lost a lot in like sort of the day-to-day, like, oh, this guy said something dumb on Twitter. And a lot of the time it is something dumb. I'm not talking about saying it's more than that. I'm talking about literally just saying that's dumb. Okay? And it's like, man, they are frustrating at times, but pro wrestlers really, they give me an escape. And like, it's as simple as doing just a line for Brodie. It was like, oh man, that helps. It's like, I don't know why, but I don't think I'm alone either. It's like, 2020 has objectively sucked, right? I don't think I'm doing a hot take here. I sense that's the consensus take on this. 2020 would always have a strange place for Jeremy and I think, because this is when our show kicked off here. And I think inexplicably we've kind of helped Phil at some point. I don't know how, I don't know why, but we have. And I was sitting there last night thinking about doing this show, and it's like being a pro wrestling fan has made 2020 worse in many ways, because it is painful. We've had some terrible stuff in this year. You touched on some earlier, Andrew, both in wrestling media and in the actual performers themselves. But at the same time, it's like, man, I don't know what I'd do without it sometimes. And that may sound tragic. I apologize if it does. But like, are you guys with me? Like, I'm sitting there watching Drew McIntyre, and I'm like, damn, that helped. I don't know why. It just did, to be honest with you guys. Like, it did.
I thought Tom Phillips opening the show with "It's Monday," and you know what that means. Right. Like, I thought that was great. Yeah, all the little tributes throughout the night. Xavier's especially. Like he really went kind of all out, and it did help. I like the threads Big E has done, Cesaro stuff. Like, I think all of that helps in some way, and however you get through this process. And there is no right or wrong way to get through this process. Whatever helps you, however it helps you, it's the right way.
Like I was gonna say, like just seeing, I think I seen Becky Lynch. She posted on Instagram the picture of her, Brodie, Xavier, and I think Aiden. I think they were in Japan. I think they were doing the Mario Kart thing. I think that's what it was. Like they were like riding around, I think in the carts and stuff like that. And Brodie was like dressed up in one of the costumes. But it was just hilarious. Like seeing
he was in the steampunk gear. He had her steampunk gear on.
Like so many different elements, man. And then like I think I saw Seth Rollins' post. He wrote like a real detailed post about him. And he talked about how when they were both in their respective factions, when they were in the Shield and Wyatt family, like they had like a real like backstage kind of head to head, because they were so passionate about their own respective groups and where they felt that their group should go. And like just I feel like that type of openness and telling those type of stories, like letting them know like it was all respect, and just showing how passionate both of them were, and showing how passionate Brodie was in like in those specific moments. It just goes to show you how much he loved wrestling and how much he just endeared himself to so many people by just being genuine.
It's like everything now. It's like the biggest strength of it is that everyone's so accessible, and that does run us into so many problems, and like it is what it is, but it makes things like it's a lot easier to cope with, that I don't have to wait for Dynamite to see people what they're saying, right? Yeah. Like you just said, like Becky being able to just post that, and it's amazing doing this show, and it just this year has been so bizarre, because I'm sitting here and the Becky Lynch news feels like Jeremy and I covered that 15 years ago. It truly does. So I did want to ask, and I'm here with two of the best people in the wrestling media. That's not my opinion, Jeremy. That's the general people, right? I have my own take. No, two of my favorite people. I'll say that much, okay? Two people that actually have to really and truly cover this stuff. And I did want to ask, to try our best to put a bow on this show and this week, these whole few days. What stuff in 2020, professional wrestling 2020, I should make clear, do you look back on and say, well, look, everything sucked, but thank goodness we got that much in our pro wrestling escapism? Is there anything, Andrew, anything that comes to mind?
Man, like just immediately. See that's one of those on the spot questions. Like I feel like 5 hours later, I'm gonna be like, oh damn, I should have said that. Like, it's like one of those things. Like it just immediately come to mind, man. I'm glad I got to see Big E get his singles run and win an Intercontinental title. That was very cool to see. Man, since we already on the topic, I might as well just throw this out there. It was just cool seeing Brodie in his new element of being this leader of the Dark Order. It was, I think something was very kind of cool to see, was kind of, even though there were some trials and tribulations, to kind of see how pro wrestling adjusted to the COVID-19 pandemic. I feel like that was like something, I don't want to use the word cool, but it was just very interesting to see how many independent promotions and many companies sort of, made that transition, and, they had their humps along the way, but, eventually ended up finding their way. Man, there was so many solid things that happened. I think we could look back at Edge's return at the Royal Rumble. That was especially on that day.
That didn't happen in 2020. You're lying. There's no way that happened in 2020. And
then I know I talked to Jeremy that day, because that was the day that Kobe passed away.
Yeah,
and like that was just like one of the most down days. Like it was crazy how this person that some of us never met legitimately affected all of us at one time. And I think for those within wrestling and watch wrestling, I think Edge's return really like kind of, yeah, that's a good thing. Man, there was so many good things happen, man. Jeremy, anything you got?
I'll give you 3. The first one is Goldberg defeating the Clown.
Jeremy trying to get the stream riled up, man. Here you go.
That's a big thing for our show, right, Jeremy?
Yeah. Two more serious ones. One, Roman Reigns' recent run has been just absolutely tremendous. Everything he's done, he's knocked it out of the park. 2, we forget about it almost, but Moxley winning the title in his entire run.
Yes.
John Moxley's my wrestler of the year. I'll go ahead and say that right now. Like I think this has been the best run of his career, and everything he's done this year has hit with me 100%. Like even the New Japan stuff, which no one remembers because he hasn't been in New Japan since I think Wrestle Kingdom. But yeah, all of that stuff hit with me as well. Like Moxley's entire run. It's crazy to think he won the title this year because it doesn't feel like it, but he did. And his whole run has been great to me.
I want to circle back to him because I think he has been, as you said, he's been tremendous. I mean, like you mentioned the Suzuki match from
was that 2020?
I want to say February. Yes,
that
it was.
This year?
Oh,
it was after Tokyo Dome. So
yeah, you're right. It was after Wrestle Kingdom.
So
right.
I want to circle back to him, but Andrew mentioned the Rumble. That may be the ultimate example of like good professional wrestling escapism, where entering that show, it was like a sort of we were in a fog after the Kobe news, right? It was so bizarre. And then I left the Rumble, and it had helped me a lot. And like when you talk about wrestling, you're going to be critical. That's just the way it goes. Like it is, you like stuff, you dislike stuff. But I've been thankful for it, man. I wish sometimes these companies would run under better circumstances. I wish that it handled things better. I do. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to pretend I didn't enjoy watching stuff. Like when I think of the Rumble, I think of the show, but I also think of MVP coming back.
Man,
and I honestly believe the Hurt Business is not just a great act. It's the kind of act that in 20 years, people are going to find and say, how was this not the biggest thing ever? The same way that people now do with like Dangerous Alliance back in the day, right? And it's like, dude, that faction is so good. Like, don't let, whether you think the product sucks now or not, don't let it cloud the fact that that faction rules, right?
Man, like I think the Hurt Business is definitely one of those, no pun intended, MVPs of 2020. Just seeing MVP, like this dude, he came back in January and elevated about 7 different talents within his span of 2020. It's crazy. Like it's genuinely crazy to me. Like just seeing how many talents he elevated, and then not but like he elevated so many talents of color, and I felt like that was just very important for me to see. I really love seeing that. Like he elevated Apollo, Ricochet. He helped Ali in certain ways. Of course, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin wasn't doing a damn thing. Cedric Alexander, same thing, wasn't doing a damn thing, and like he helped every single last one of those individuals by not even really wrestling them, but like more so just put like and this is the crazy thing about MVP, right? He never, like in some of these promos, he was never like very like he doesn't do a disservice to his opponent on the microphone. He will always it was never like, oh, this guy can't do this or this guy can't do that. Basically down in his opponent. He would always like big talk his opponent in a way, but like also make it clear that he's the superior in the situation. And it was just like, it was always like very cool to see how he kind of maneuvered and made sure to elevate the next man. And like, I think the next step, honestly, for the Hurt Business, man, is to add a female member to the group. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that'd be so beneficial to whoever they decide to choose. Naomi. But just throwing that out there, man. That's all I got to say.
Envy, like you're so right with the promo thing. Like he's remarkable. They will do so many bad backstage skits on a show, and if MVP's in it, it will not be bad. I promise you, it will not be bad. Like he'll do it with anyone. It will be good. I'm sure of it. I would say he's very possibly the story of the year in terms of like the winner of the year. I'd say it's him already, right? If you're looking at like the overall who leaves 2020 in professional wrestling in a completely different scenario than they entered it, I think MVP is really the ultimate winner because he was done, right? Like he was ready to move on, and now he's a centerpiece almost of Monday Night Raw. It's very, very cool.
I'm gonna catch up on some super chats here. Evan Wright says his match with Dijak at Worlds Collide. We're talking about Brodie Lee. Yeah, everyone thought. I mean, he was on the sidelines and he's coming back for that. And what happened, unfortunately. Rob Wilkins says I was at Elimination Chamber 2014. Shield and Wyatt family. Truly don't know how to prepare for AEW live coverage tomorrow night. I'm crushed. Rob, that is a very difficult job as it is, and it's going to be even more difficult tomorrow night, I would imagine. Good luck, buddy.
Shout out to Rob, man. Shout out to Rob. Good dude right there.
You will get through it, buddy. And if you need any help, let me know. Where are we at? So many super chats. Again, guys, thank you. All all money going from super chats will be going to Brodie Lee's family. Carlos Easy said that BTE with the who the fuck is Griff Garrison, and then he throws the papers at Uno for the first time is the hardest I laughed in my life. Dude, the paper bit was just fantastic. And just throwing the papers or hitting people with the papers, just great stuff. Taxel, when I first got into wrestling, my favorite thing was the Wyatt family. It's been a weird couple of days. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Taxel. We appreciate it, buddy. Evan Wright, hope Pillman Jr. gets the Teddy Hart out of his system and becomes a figure in Brodie Jr.'s life. I genuinely think he'd be a nice guiding hand for him. Maybe.
Huh? Maybe. Good thought. It's a good thought. I like it. Maybe optimistic.
Yeah. Maybe. 2020 stuff. Eddie Kingston, you mentioned him. I'm shocked it took you that long to mention him, Joseph. Him and MVP, certainly. And then my best friend, of course, Ricky Starks, who was wrestling a broom in February, came on our show and then got signed. So I think he's had a pretty good 2020 as well.
I am fully expecting Ricky Starks to file that lawsuit against Jeremy one of these days for Jeremy's constant slander on social media. I'm like genuinely expecting this in 2021.
How dare you? We're best friends.
I'm glad you mentioned him. I mean, we have a lot of fun with Ricky's name on the show. I was going to say we have fun with Ricky, but it really isn't that. It's just sort of his name coming up and Jeremy using it as a bit. But like, he is one of the great stories of 2022. Like, I remember us covering his TV title win, right? The tournament on the pay-per-view they did in like January. That was this year, yes, folks. That really happened. He's like, I think you compare him and Eddie in a way of like guys that took an opportunity. Let's be honest, regardless of what happened, probably wasn't going to be around forever, right? It was the return of studio wrestling. As a fan, I enjoyed it very much, and those two guys took it and maximized it. Both of them now are important pieces for AEW, and it's like it's very difficult when you're looking at a year that has so much bad to be like positive, but that will keep that part. But I would like to keep those parts. That's been very cool. Like, I want to circle back to Moxley because a lot of stuff in pro wrestling right now is like, okay, I appreciate how they tried to do that, right? Like, for example, when I see guys do TLC matches in front of like screens, I'm like, I really appreciate that you guys are insane. Like, but there's very few stuff in any wrestling year where you say, I'm actually going to remember this for a long time. I think Roman is one of those. I think people in Roman's legacy, I truly believe this will be like the crowning run of it, where he proved how great he was as a heel. I believe that. Yeah. But I think the other for me is like, I can't tell you a babyface world title run I've enjoyed more than I enjoyed Jon Moxley's. And the way that he adapted to everyone, the way that he would match a Kingston in like, the kind of emotive tough guy battle, the way he'd play an underdog against the big guy, the way that he would be kind of charming against an MJF, like an absolute masterpiece of a world title run. And I think that will be probably my main takeaway as far as stuff that happened on the screen of 2020.
Like one of the more cooler things from this year that come to mind is kind of like Lio Rush's resurgence into professional wrestling. I think that's because I know he was at a point where he said he was done, and he came back at GCW and then just had these string of matches. And then of course Jeremy, the main accomplishment of Lio Rush's of 2020. I'm gonna let you take this one, sir.
Yeah, Lio Rush allowed me to cover the challenge on the site. So, look, I'm glad Lio Rush is back doing wrestling because it gave me an excuse to write about the challenge every week.
Jeremy, on top of this, he has not been eliminated yet. He will be on the show for the foreseeable future.
He's going to keep being on the show. I'm going to keep writing articles. He retweets all my articles. My best friend, Lio Rush. So,
hey, look, I'll say this much. We're talking about 2020, but do not miss his match with Myron Reed. That's going to be a hell of a kickoff in 2021. Check that one out. That's going to be fun.
That's at the Kings of Coliseum show, right?
Yeah, that's in the next week where it's going to be a very long week with all the shows that we have to cover.
Jeremy, what's that on? That's all on the. Damn, that is on the. That's the New Year's Smash. That's New Year's Evil. Damn, woo.
Dude, starting Monday morning with
fingers
about to be hurting, man.
Yeah, Monday morning is Wrestle Kingdom Night 1, then Raw, then Wrestle Kingdom Night 2, then Impact, then New Year's Dash, then MLW, AEW, NXT, and then there's finally a break on Thursday, I think. Friday SmackDown. Saturday is the Impact Plus show.
Wow. Impact really needed to add that on the end there, didn't they? They
have a pay-per-view like 2 weeks later. They're like, here's an Impact Plus show. And, our pay-per-view's in 2 weeks.
Let's be fair here. I think Impact are a story of 2020.
Yeah.
I think Impact, they played their hand well. I think they leave it with far more relevance than they entered. Dare I say momentum? God forbid. Impact momentum. I'm saying it. I think they have some. I think a lot of credit has to go to them for they are probably the best example in wrestling, I would say, of making the most of what they have. And every single person on that show has a role. Every person has an act. It's a variety show to its most extreme, right? Like, you're not going to like everything on that show, but they try and they make the most of the results. I think they are one of the better stories of this year, actually.
So somebody got shot on Impact. So,
there you go. That's all you need to say.
but like, I think one of the funnier people on Impact. I don't know if you guys enjoy him as much as I do, is Johnny Swinger.
Oh yeah,
that dude. bro, he is like legitimately like I swear, like it's like there are some people in wrestling that like, so some characters I should say on wrestling that like they are like pushed to be funny. Yes. But like Swinger, dude is
funny.
hey, but Joe, I did want to ask you this, so I gotta get your take, man, on what, like, I think for me, I agree with Jeremy. I think Jon Moxley has been the best performer of the year as far as, like, just the consistency through it all and performing out through it all. But I think another person who is right behind Moxley, and I think Moxley is number one, but I think right behind Moxley, you gotta throw Drew McIntyre out there. I think he definitely deserves to be right there behind Moxley. I was going to ask you what you think, Joe.
I was just about to bring him up because me and Drew have a bizarre relationship.
You have heat with Drew. It's heat.
I wanted to bring him up because I know that Andrew's a fan. We always have fun, Andrew and I, because I remember vividly when I was in the chat for approximately 4 hours that time, and I got my championship ring and left. I remember him saying he was a Drew guy, and I asked him on this show, I think, about that. Like, I have a strange dynamic with Drew, and I'm not sure I always love him as like top guy. As far as match quality, what a year he has turned out in the most awful circumstance to be world champion against some opponents that frankly did him no favors at all. And he was like, no, we're going to have a great match. And he did every time. I think he deserves to be on anyone's list at this point. I would agree with you, yes. But I'm just happy for you, Andrew, because you are a Drew guy, right? You're a Drew guy. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. I'm very fond of one Drew McIntyre. I'm glad that he finally got his big moment. Thought it should have happened 2 years ago when he first came back, but hey, it happened. So
here's a hidden gem for you guys. While we're trying to have fun here talking about 2020, which is a unique approach to podcasting, because most 2020 takes should just be, it sucked, let's never talk about it again. But I wanted to close things out on a high. Here's a match happening in 2020 that you will not believe. The last pay-per-view before shutdown, everything happened. Drew Gulak, Daniel Bryan, pay-per-view opener in Philly. Do you remember this match?
Man, that was good. That was good. I remember that.
Real good. Jeremy's looking at me in complete disbelief. Doesn't know what I'm talking about.
I'm sure it was great. I mean, you have Daniel Bryan, you have Drew Gulak. Sounds like a fantastic match.
It was great, Jeremy.
I do remember that match. I could not remember that it was in 2020, though. I did not remember that it was this year. It was a good Daniel Bryan match. Was the strap match against Bray. That was this year. Right?
An all-time Bryan performance. That
guy's good. Daniel Bryan, great professional wrestler.
So one match, Jeremy, that I did want to ask you about, like what was billed as the greatest professional wrestling match ever. But no, you want to know what's crazy, Jeremy? I want to get your thoughts on
Undertaker and AJ Styles, right?
oh boy. But now we need to talk about, of course, we're talking about Edge versus Randy Orton. You want to know what's crazy? I really thought that was like a really, really good match. Yeah. But like, I think the fact that they tried to brand it as the greatest match, their greatest wrestling match ever, actually devalued it in a way. And I feel like they just left it alone. People would have been like, oh, damn, that was like a really, really great match. I was wondering what you thought about that.
Yeah, we talked about it on the show when it happened. I think Joe and I both like really enjoyed that match. And, it was what it was with how they shot it and edited it and everything. And they did do themselves a disservice by putting that much hype into it. But it was a fantastic match, like from start to finish. It was a lot better than that WrestleMania match they had. That's for sure.
I'm glad Andrew brought my friend Randall up, because I have to say
he should be in jail. He should be in jail.
I mean, this is sincere, okay? Because when I talk about Randy Orton, it seems like it's a bit, because sometimes it is a bit. Sincerely, actual escapism for me in 2020. I look forward to seeing the latest hijinks of Randall Orton as he sets people alight on fire. This week on Raw, he closed it out the best way ever, where he was like, I would love to burn you to death, but you want me to, and I will not be able to do that. Randy has been great. His social media is an absolute treasure. I would tell anyone that's even vaguely interested in wrestling to follow him. He's great. And he's had a kind of revival this year. And I think Edge deserves credit for kind of sparking that in him, right? Like, he's been great this year, seriously.
I think another name, it's been really cool to kind of see ACH back. I think that's something that's been really cool. I'm so glad to see him back in wrestling, dude. Like, he had a really like, just, we could do a whole podcast about that. I could go on a rant about that for 2 hours. But man, you know what? I'm gonna keep it positive, and I'm gonna just say I'm glad to see that man back in professional wrestling. He is great. Had one of the greatest moments in Cork and Hall history when he completely stole the spotlight from Naito and had the crowd chanting and dancing with this man. I think that was like one of the best moments that New Japan has had over the past several years or so. But yeah, ACH definitely one of them, man. Just another thing, man. It's been really cool to see like so many Black wrestlers like just rise up this year. Like and shout out to Reg for the list he created, and you know the podcast that he's putting out. I'm pretty sure you guys know Reg, who does the blackwrestlers.com.
He won't follow me back. Don't put him over.
Look, Jeremy, why you gotta be like that, man? You gotta be like that, man. It's just Reg, follow him back. Jeremy, good peoples, man.
Thank you. No, you guys did like a 2-hour podcast that I cannot wait to listen to this weekend.
It was quite the experience. It was hilarious, man. I thoroughly enjoy Reg and Phil Lindsay for sure. Another good dude right there, man. Jeremy, I'm sure. Jeremy and John, I know you guys back.
Another guy who buried me, saying that was the best podcast he did this year when he did 2 or 3 podcasts with me.
But you know that initial rush after you do a podcast, you know. That's what it is.
Lost on us at this point. We log off like that was shit. It was funny. By the way, I did want to ACH. If you don't watch any of the MLW restart shows that take place in misty buildings that allegedly have VIP guests, I do not understand what's going on. Cool. Please tell me via DM. I'll accept your response. However, if you watch one match, ACH had a beautiful empty arena match with Filthy Tom. They told a wonderful story. If you're going to watch a match, ACH has been great for a long time, so I'm with you. It's super cool to just see him like back doing his thing. I love that match.
So Joe, I got to ask you. You were in my wrestling media story of 2020 because I need to know what is this thing between you and Fight TV? What is this? I need to know.
Joseph, not me.
Yeah, I was asking joke. I see the tweets between you and Fight. I mean, that you said that Fight and dude, I die laughing every time. I just need to know what this is about.
I mean, I wish it was a thing. It's not a thing. It's just me hurling abuse at a streaming service I pay to use, because all I want to do, Andrew, as a respected member of the wrestling media, is be able to tweet one of those bullshit competitions. I just want to do the thing. I want to just ask people if they want to watch a show, retweet this, get some numbers out of it. And they won't do it. They won't play ball, Andrew. It's very frustrating.
Hey, Fight, let my man be great. Stop paying him. Let him be great. Like all he want to do is just send it out. Yo, come on, man. Like you ain't hurting the soul by tweeting it out. Like it's another person that you got on your brand. Look, come on, man. Come on, Fight. Y'all got to get it together, man.
The worst one, Andrew, is Eddie Kingston's Grindhouse events going. This is my thing. This is my brand, okay? And I've got all these great brothers. Kerry Cassidy, I love him. Not his brand, okay? Eddie Kingston's Grindhouse, not his brand. That's my brand. Gary, that's my brand. You know it. You should send the codes to me. Here's the thing, Andrew. I don't even want codes for myself. I will pay for it. I don't care. Just let me get the clout from this. Let me get the numbers. I need the numbers. I want numbers, okay? That's all I want. Not even numbers, in fact. I just want the acknowledgement of, oh, Joe's made it. He does Fight TV codes now. That's all I want.
Goodness, bro.
That's all I want, Andrew. That's all I want.
No, that is legitimately funny. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I see Joe tweet that fight, like I just know it got something to do with them having a code and him having the tweet and him not letting Joe, I'm with you, man. I don't know why they would just send it to you. Like I don't like the more spotlight that they get, it does good for both of y'all. You get the clout, they get the clout. It's the same thing. Like Fight TV must don't want the clout, man. That's all I got to say about it.
They know so. They don't even respond to me anymore. It's very sad. They liked one of the tweets and they've never responded since.
They see it. They see Joe.
They see it. They feel it too, Andrew. They feel it.
Just wait till the post pandemic. Whenever we get out of this, I need to see Joe or whoever in the fight social media person go down.
Yes.
Evan Wright says Kenny Omega had an Iron Man match with Pac on a Wednesday and a Revolution tag with Bucks and Hangman that's Saturday. Incredible stuff. Omega's had like probably an underrated year.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because he had that weird period. I mean, he just did a lot of tag matches. And so people they were expecting singles Kenny all year. And we didn't see too much of that. But yeah, he had a fantastic year.
I mean, so here's the thing, guys, is in a couple of weeks with Andrew, we intend to do more formal awards in the least formal way possible. Right? Is that a good way to explain what we intend to do with that show, Jeremy?
Next Thursday.
Okay, whenever. I thought it was like a long time. Listen, guys.
Joseph doesn't know the schedule. I'm going to give the schedule here in a second.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to do that, I promise. So if you're wondering what our actual picks are, but I do want to kind of get ahead of the curve. Jeremy did with Mox. Is that our match of the year? The tag at Revolution? What are we saying, Andrew? What your immediate response when I say to you, Omega and Hangman versus the Bucks, is that the best match of the year?
That was a really great match. I actually went back and watched that. I want to say a couple of weeks ago, and it still holds up. Man, it was so many great. It would take me a minute to say like what my greatest match is because I had to think about it, but I can't roll with that one for the match of the match of the year because I just need to like go back and look at some of the stuff that's happened this year. But that's definitely up there. I would say like top 5 for me. Like that was just and it's crazy. Like isn't it crazy? Like go back and watch these matches where they're like actual humans in the crowd, like chanting and like screaming. Like it's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Wearing no mask, disappointing me. But it's like, that was a great match, man. I can't believe that was this year.
My match of the year is the Clown against Goldberg. It's like 2 minutes. You don't have to invest too much time in it or anything. A fantastic match.
I do think there's a real argument that Taker and Goldberg and all the content it's provided us since is like a match of the decade contender. Like he brain busted the Undertaker in that match, and I have never had such a thrill in all my life. I thought I was gonna like just combust. I didn't know what to do. So that's 2019 though. I don't want to. The last thing I want to do on this show is get off topic, right, Jeremy? That's not what we do around here. But I think Revolution's a highlight. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was gonna say I think one of the matches is gonna be underrated as far as this year goes is the what was that the Santana and Ortiz versus Best Friends. Parking Lot Street, but dude, that match was way better than what I was expecting.
I actually wanted to because we haven't spoke since the last Dynamite's happened between our last show and this, right, Jeremy? The last Dynamite, yeah. Okay. That segment where MJF went to Santana is the best example I've found yet of like Santana has a charisma that is very powerful. And that's not me doing a pun with the tag team name, I promise. That guy is one of those dudes who commands respect with the way he carries himself, right? That segment with MJF I thought was just so beautifully done. And I was scared that MJF was going to like wink at the camera, and he didn't. And I'm really excited to see that guy. So I thought, I'm with you. I think everyone agrees Santana and Ortiz not had like the year we wanted them to have maybe in AEW. And there's a lot of factors which just suck. It's been shit for those guys. But that match, well, they'll remember forever. That was a great match. I agree.
Yeah, let's say another underrated one was and then I know I think I saw Jeremy tweet the same thing back when it happened. My memory is elite. But now I remember I think he said the same thing was the Jordan Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo match for Slammiversary.
Yeah.
Dude, that was crazy. crazy good. But you know what, Joe? My match of the year is Thunder Rosa versus Allison Kay at Hard Times. That is my match of the year, dude.
Yes.
You want to know what? Like, kind of my philosophy when people always say match of the year, and it's not to discredit anything recent. Like, you could look at Ilya versus Walter. That was something completely different from the WWE style that they normally present. You can look at what was that? Okada versus Naito at Wrestle Kingdom. I think that was night 2. But like when I think about that, and that was in January as well. But like when I look back at that Thunder Rosa Allison Kay match, I always think like when you think about matches of the year professional wrestling, always look back to the matches that happened earlier on, and that if they still hold that same weight with your opinion, then you know it was a great match because it happened so long ago and you've seen so many other things. But yeah, Thunder Rosa, man, like what a hell of a year for her, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I think we all have kind of a little bit of fun with the idea of what the NWA is now. Like it's a bit weird, right? It's a strange thing. But like we've all named stories that are from the NWA. We've all had. So we talked a little bit earlier, and Jeremy poked some fun because he expected me to lead with Eddie Kingston on this show. So I'll back end it, Jeremy, with some Eddie Kingston, because I think the NWA, like we forget that relevant is too strong a word, but they did actually expose some guys to a different audience, right? Like for Ricky Starks, he went from being a guy that people that really followed pro wrestling knew was good to being like, I checked out some NWA. This guy was in the second segment. He was awesome. And that's very cool. And I think Eddie, as long as he's been around, benefited from that show. My favorite match of the year, that I don't think is even a top 100 match of the year, but it's the one that was the most sort of special for me, that I think gets forgotten how good it was, is when Eddie arrived and faced Cody. And in 15 minutes of Dynamite, they told this awesome story where Eddie effectively said, there's no way you can kind of out-tough me, right, or out-grind him. Next thing you know, Cody's taking a tax bump, bouncing up, getting a submission win. And, like, if there's ever a moment to sum up why Eddie Kingston's great at pro wrestling, it's like he didn't have a contract. So he legitimately just told a story from start, middle, and end in, like, 15 minutes of Dynamite as the opening seg. That is a match that I will always hold very close to me. So that's maybe my favourite. Any sentimental favourites for you, Jeremy?
Sentimental favorites.
Yes.
Look, Ricky against Cody, because like that was a good. I was very happy for Ricky that he got that spot and then got a contract out of it. So that's probably it. I would think off the top of my head.
We're talking about great matches of the year. Like Inferior Maintenance All Sad again. The dog collar match is a classic match. It's one of the great AEW matches. It was an extraordinary match. And I don't think that should be forgotten either. So it's so strange because I think we all have had issues with the way things have gone as far as like the way shows just keep running and stuff. But it's like, man, there's been some great pro wrestling along the way and some great stories that we can celebrate even within this absolute just cloud of sadness. There's been some great stuff in there.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I'm trying to think of like some other really like low key underrated. What's
your WWE match of the year?
WWE match of the year. You know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go McIntyre and Rollins at Money in the Bank because I think if they, I mean, of course the crowd not having like they didn't have anybody when that happened, but I think if they would have had a crowd, it would have been. I think it would have been kind of something similar to what we saw at the 2019 Money in the Bank with Rollins and AJ. Like that was a really solid. I think it would have been kind of the same thing.
I would say there's a few that come to mind. I think the Brian AJ TV match that went 15 adverts on SmackDown was an extraordinary. Like, no, that sounds like I'm dissing. Like, it was just a beautiful match, and there's something to be said for matches that historically carry weight immediately. And to me, they're the two best performers of their generation. So seeing them guys just wrestle for 40 minutes on a Fox wrestling television show, pretty cool. I mean, that's great. I would look towards Roman and Kevin Owens from 1 week ago. I thought that was an extraordinary sort of emotional roller coaster, great drama in that match. I also would say one of my other personal favourites, when you talk about WWE, the first Jey Uso Roman match. I'll forever remember because as a fan of the Usos, I think what makes them so special is they are just wonderful performers individually. They are just brilliant at wrestling. And it just so happens that they have each other. And they're forever going to be a tag team in wrestling history. it's been so cool as a fan to see that kind of validated with how brilliant Jay has been as a singles. And that match I just thought was, I mean, look, it's not usually my thing. It was very, dialogue heavy, but with the way wrestling is now, I thought they did a beautiful job. I love that match.
Evan Wright says Cody versus Wardlow in the cage. That was apparently this year.
That was a great Dynamite, right?
That was this year?
Show. Yes, it
was. Hold on. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't, bro.
It was.
Allegedly. That was allegedly this year.
That was 2019, bro.
Cody, we've listed Cody a couple times here. Like, Cody is, Cody's good. And I've said it many times, like, I've really enjoyed his AEW work. His year might get knocked because, like, that Revolution match against MJF where the tattoo overshadowed everything.
I still like that match. Like, I didn't, I think Cody's great. I just think he's tremendous. Go ahead, Joe.
I didn't, like, care for that match. Like, it was good, but I think I expected just a little bit more out of it. But on the whole, like, Cody continues to be tremendous in AEW.
That was one of the great programs of the year, though, right? I mean, it's only I know that with AEW they just did like one match and that's it. It must end now. New build. The MJF and Cody was a beautiful feud. I thought it was great.
So one of the best promos of 2020, and I still can't believe this happened in 2020, was the Jake Roberts one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, oh my goodness. When he was just like, what was that line he dropped that he was like, don't ever turn your back on someone you're afraid of or you respect, and then turn his back and threw the mic, and then Cody.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness.
This is going to sound dismissive, but I promise it isn't. The way that he has struggled to match that since shows you how inspired he was to make an impact on his first night. Do you know, it felt like he had so many ideas to make that hit. I think that's one of the best promos of the year. I think
it definitely is.
The segment that stands out to me is the Moxley Kingston one where they went head to head. I think is extraordinary pro wrestling. You know, the one where
you just like they were spitting each other's throats.
Yeah, I enjoyed the spit. So
yeah,
it was very cool. No, but it was incredible. I'll never forget going on social media after that and just seeing every fan, whether they're an NXT guy, an AEW guy, an Impact guy, God forbid. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. But everyone was like, okay, I'm interested in this. So I think that was great. I think Moxley's cut a bunch of great like pre-tape promos, just tremendous promos where it's just him. I love the one he cut about his father giving him that speech, right? We're the good guys. An amazing promo. Seek that one out. If there's one thing I'm thankful for with Power at the start and Dynamite throughout the year, it feels like it's a great time to watch guys cut promos. It really does feel like the power of the promo is back, which is very cool for me as a fan.
So Jeremy and Joe, are you going to read the first super chat, Jeremy?
Oh, is that Myron Kidd mentioned Grace vs. Peraza, 30-minute Iron Woman match. Yep.
Oh, by the way, Deonna Purrazzo, one of the absolute best stories of the year. Incredible story.
Yes. Yeah. Hell of a year. But Jeremy and Joe, are y'all ready to really get taken back down the 2020 timeline for one of those moments like that couldn't have happened this year? I need the confirmation from both of you. Are you ready for this?
I think so. I believe so.
Jeremy, are you ready for this?
No, but go ahead.
Do you guys remember in January when Alex Shelley was on NXT?
Oh man!
when he was in the Dusty Tag Team Classic with Kushida. Look,
yeah,
Jeremy is genuinely confused right now. He's like, "What are you talking about?"
That was November, December. That was not January.
But that was January, bro. I promise you, it was January.
I'm looking this up. You're
Joe, that was January, right? The Dusty Tag Team Classic.
I mean, NXT time. Right? You can ask me anything but that, mate. I ain't got a clue, but it sounds right. Yeah, cool. It was a fun moment, though, right? That was cool. It's been cool to see. It's been cool to see Shelley come back into the scene this year.
Yeah, definitely it was. Jeremy, we waited on the confirmation from Jeremy.
It was January.
It was. I told you it was January.
January or literally the second week of January. This year has been so long.
But it's forever going to be the year that this dumb show started, Jeremy. And I don't know if I should be thankful for that or regretful. I don't know. I really don't know.
Let me read this last super chat,
okay,
and then we'll wrap things up.
Yes,
because we're almost at an hour and a half now. Trey Lucas says, glad I was able to catch the stream live to donate. Love when it took 2 minutes for Brodie to destroy Cody and then dog collar match that followed. So happy I was able to see the side of him I didn't know existed on AEW and BT. Yes. Guys, thank you so much for donating all the super chats. Again, all this money is going to the family of Brodie Lee. Now he turns his camera. Oh my God, the big reveal here at the end.
I had to show some love, man, because number one, I had to show my face. I'm all good, y'all. My head just ain't brushed. Dog, I had to come show support for my guy because he pulled out the Bushby and Thompson shirt for me. So of course I had to throw that on. I copped the shirt, point guard with the face on it. That looked just like you, bro. That's crazy. But I'm back to all camera now. Shout out to y'all.
Andrew's looking good. He won't show his hair, but he's looking good. Fresh in that shirt, Andrew.
I ain't get to brush my hair today, man. People can't see me like that. They can't see me like that.
The same standards as Andrew, I would never have been seen on this show. I'd have always been just a voice you could hear.
But of course, I had to pull out that before to support my guy, man. I'm proud of both of y'all. Hell of a year. Y'all done made it through the first year of the distraction. You should be very proud of yourselves. Doing blow up numbers on the Fightful YouTube channel. I'm very proud of you guys, man. Two of my dudes. Shout out to all my guys that was killing in the wrestling media this year. You two should be very proud of yourselves, man. Genuinely, you should really be happy with what you have accomplished, and hopefully next year the distraction will continue to grow bigger.
Please don't say nice things about us.
I had to.
I did like though your phrase. I like that your phrase was "You've got through 1 year." Like, I did appreciate it. That's the way I see it too. It's like we got through. I don't know how we did it. We never expected when we were just talking about Bill Goldberg or whatever that we'd end up.
Let's not reflect on the year. We have a year anniversary show coming up in a couple of weeks.
You're right.
No,
we'll do it then.
We talking about Bill Goldberg, and I ain't gonna be surprised if we see old Bill back on TV in a couple of weeks. I'm telling you.
I can't wait. I'm all in on this shit brainbusters.
So wait. I know we gonna wait. So am I officially invited onto the year-end show?
Yeah. Listen. Let me set the schedule for everybody. Okay.
Here we go.
This is the only show we're doing this week. Thursday's New Year's Eve. It's going to be later for Joseph on New Year's Eve. So no show on Thursday. Is the only distraction you're getting this week. Enjoy it. Saturday, we're launching the Twitch, everybody. The Twitch official on Saturday. I don't know who's going to be on Saturday. It's going to be me, that loser Joel Pearl, and then a couple other people might be popping on in and out as well. So the twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming. We've done a lot of testing. I will bury Joel Pearl. He has helped me so much with this testing on everything. So thank you, Joel, for all of that. That is going to be Saturday, probably about 8 o'clock. We're going to be streaming for a good bit on Saturday. I will tell you that much right now. Next Tuesday, no movie review. We are going to review Wrestle Kingdom, nights 1 and 2. Joseph and I, we're going to be joined by Sean Ross Sapp to review Wrestle Kingdom. Yes, Joseph, this is the thing that's happening.
Look at Joe. He like, really?
Joseph knows. He's playing
okay. Fight, brother.
So that I actually don't think Joseph knows the rest of the schedule.
No, I do not.
But he does know the Wrestle Kingdom one. Next Thursday, January 7th, we will probably do another 6 o'clock show. That is going to be kind of our year-end awards thing. Andrew's going to be back on that show. Everyone maybe saw the tweet that I sent out where I DM'd Joe on December 27th last year. And I said, let's do a first take type show where we yell at each other and we do 45 minutes. I say, as I plug this thing, an hour and a half into our show this year. We're going to do the first take style show. Andrew's going to be there. He's going to be our Molly. Sean says you should cover New Year Dash on that shit. No, Sean, we're doing the first take show. You said, why isn't this program on our network? Next Thursday, it is going to be on the network. All right. We're going to yell at each other and throw papers and scream and whatever. So we're doing the first take show January 7th. January 12th. I don't know what we're doing. We're going to review something. We're going to review Big Show. Okay.
I feel Molly. I get called like you know what was funny. I want to be talking about the Edge and Orton match from Backlash. I was thinking about that segment when they had Charlie Caruso had to stare dead in the heart, and she was like, the greatest wrestling match ever, dude. I know when they told her that, she probably was like, bro, I'm on ESPN every week. I don't need this. Like, yeah. I was just thinking about that, man. I know Charlie was like, dude, okay. And the funny thing was, everybody harped, but I don't think anybody harped on Charlie for that. But everybody was like, why would she say that?
You'd be surprised, man.
Oh my goodness.
January 12th, we'll review something. We'll figure it out. January 14th is the 1-year anniversary show. I'm not telling Joseph what's happening that show, but I got things planned for that show. All right. I've got things planned. I
have one question before we get off the air.
Yes, Robert O'Neill will be on the show.
No, I go without saying he's wanting my job. Okay, I'm not getting there. Will that show create hype? No, heat or buzz? Heat or buzz? Hype or buzz?
You messed up the bit.
Sorry, Tony. There you go. Heat or buzz, Jeremy?
Probably both. No, buzz. It'll be buzz. Plenty of buzz for the 1-year anniversary show. After that, we'll get back on a more normal schedule and, do the nonsense that we typically do. Andrew, you'll be back next week. Where can the people find you at?
They can follow me on Twitter at 80 Thompson __ as one Wake team likes to make fun of because my 2 underscores are my name. I don't get it, but it's hilarious to him, man. Yeah, they can check my written workout over at postwrestling.com and check on the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. I will be back sharp, live, and ready in 2021. Got some cool things lined up for the channel, so stay tuned. And one thing that I really wanted to see on Distraction, please do this. Well, I should probably say this off air so people don't try to take the idea, but I need Jeremy to contact the social media person at Fight and coordinate them to get on the Distraction with Joe. And we need them to hash this out. Jeremy, I'm telling you, that would be literally the funniest thing. And I need Joe to be in character as much as possible. I need him to heal it up. Joe, don't try to be Mr. PR. I need you.
We're gonna get banned from Fight. All right, the Fight's just not gonna give us anything if we try to do this. Let's not get us in trouble here, okay? Let's not get us in trouble.
Of course, man. Of course.
Everyone follow Andrew. Legitimately, not only the absolute best at what he does when it comes to writing news, but he's pumping out interviews as well. Got his own podcast. Andrew, plug your podcast.
Man, shout out to that good man, Martin Bushby, the Bushby and Thompson Wrestling Adventure. We will be back. We do record once a month. We will be back in mid-January. We are currently deciding on what we're going to review, but it's going to be something cool. So be sure to check out that.
There you go. Andrew's got a podcast. He's interviewing everybody in the wrestling world, doing news all the time at Post Wrestling. Andrew's just the best, and he's always welcome here. I'd like him to just replace Joe, if I'm being honest, but I don't know if that's possible.
He's trying to turn me in a fight. I ain't even good.
I'm trying to create a fight. That's what I'm trying to do right now. All right.
Offer me a buyout, and I will consider any options.
I'll offer you the WCW buyout where you get nothing.
Hold on, wait. Okay, real quick. I know we're about to wrap up, but that is another one of the underrated Twitter moments of 2020 when people legitimately thought that WCW was coming back at that time.
Oh my God!
Legal papers. They had legal papers.
How? Just Twitter's the worst. Just the worst. Joseph, what do you got going on?
Honestly, at this point, who could possibly care? I've been here for almost an hour and 40 minutes. If you're still with us, you probably know, right? Joe Hulbert on Twitter. It'll be there. There'll be stuff going on there. I promise. It's fine. I'll see you all next week. Okay, I'll be fine.
Everyone, thank you again for all the donations. All of it's going to Brodie Lee's family. Thank you for joining us all throughout 2020. This is our last show of the year. Thank you for all the support this year. Again, I sent that message to Joseph stoned on the morning of December 27th, just wanting to do a podcast with my friend. I didn't know what it was going to become. I'm thrilled that it's become what it's become and all the support that we've gotten for this. Just two guys just bantering about wrestling with no real idea what we're talking about. So thank you guys. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Andrew. We will talk to everybody in 2021.
Peace.